Well, welcome to the official Q1 push of 2024. I'm here at my local Tesla store on the outside of Orlando, and as you can see from behind me, a lot of cars are starting to stack up. Now, a bunch of these cars already have nameplates on them because they're already a customer's order. However, there's a good number of these here that are going to be sold over the next few days. And I started to see something that just sounded too good to be true and didn't make a lot of sense. There's no way that it cost that much money to get a Model Y today. It cannot be that cheap. So I came down to the store, I talked to the guys inside. I just wanted to make sure all of my assumptions were right and what I was seeing was correct, because what I'm going to share with you today makes zero sense to be the case. You got to understand this car right here. This is the best-selling car in the entire world in 2023. And I believe the number was 1.2 million cars were sold. 1.2 million Tesla Model Ys across the world sold in 2023. There's a good reason for that. Number one, it's an incredible car, offers a lot of value for the money, and over the last year or so, prices have really come down. This is an extremely affordable EV that you can buy today. Not only can you buy it today, you don't have to wait for the order to be fulfilled like you did in the early days when they were ramping production. What's even more crazy about that, starting at the beginning of this year, the tax credit became point of sale. When you lease this car right back here, you actually get to take credit for that tax credit. Tesla has finally started applying that full value to the lease on car. And it doesn't matter what your income is. It doesn't matter how much tax liability you have. With a lease, everybody can get that full credit applied to the lease. It's all done on the back end. You don't see anything. You don't get a tax credit later or anything like that. It's all applied to the car. Why that's important is the more money you put down on a lease anyways, the greater the impact is for a monthly payment. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, but today I'm going to share with you something stupid crazy about this car right here. This car right here is the base Tesla Model Y. It comes in stealth gray, black interior, 5-seat configuration, rear wheel drive, 260 miles of range, and it starts at $43,990. The thing is, this particular one is marked down $4,400. Now, I want to be clear, there's not a lot of them that are marked down quite that much. There's no problem finding $2,000, maybe even $2,500 off, but when you do find one that's almost $5,000 off, that can make a huge impact on what this thing is going to cost. Let's talk about that now. So don't worry, I didn't take my own liberties with this car. The folks inside were kind enough to help me find this one on the lot. They opened it up so that we can take a look together. But this car right here, it is the base car that you can buy, a Tesla Model Y, nothing added. And this is what you'll get. It is $43,990 minus $4,400 in discount. This car right now is $39,590. That's how much it costs to buy this car today. It is $4,400 off. But if you lease that car, the $7,500 tax credit that this car qualifies for gets applied on the back end. The bank, Tesla, whoever gets credit for that $7,500, and they're applying that to the lease. What that means is the lease on this car, as it sits right now, $282 a month. Now that is before taxes and fees, but $282 a month. Let me tell you how that breaks down. First, we have the tax credit applied to this thing. Next, we have a $4,400 discount on the price of this car. Next, if you are a Cybertruck reservation holder, there's an additional $1,000 that gets applied to that. So it's actually a little bit less than $282 because I'm unable to properly apply that $1,000 to the MSRP, which means the $1,000 is going to go a lot farther when it's actually bringing down that capitalized cost of this car. I'm using it as an additional $1,000 on the down payment just to get close to what this thing will lease for, and it's actually going to be lower. Now, there are taxes and fees involved on top of that. So when you calculate all that, we're talking about $309. Taxes and fees, everything included. Now that'll be $2,999 for the down payment on this thing, plus whatever you have to bring at time of purchase, but $309 after all those fees, $282 for this car. That's insane. How much do you spend on gas every month? Just ask yourself that. I drive a ton, and if I did all of my charging at home, we're talking about $50 to $60 a month in electricity. So take that payment, add the $50 or $60 you're gonna be spending on electricity for this car instead of gas. What's that net out compared to what you are spending on gas every month? This car is probably actually going to save people money if you get this car instead of the gas car that you're driving today. So how does that work? Well, basically, it's a 3-year lease, 10,000 miles, so it is on the low side. You can adjust all of these things. You can put more money down, you can put less money down, you can go a shorter lease term, you can add more miles. All that stuff is adjustable. Of course, the payment changes too, but $282 plus taxes and fees for this car every month for 3 years, that's insanely cheap. Now, of course, this is not the long-range all-wheel drive model. What are you sacrificing by going to the rear-wheel drive versus the all-wheel drive? Well, of course, the range. That's the biggest thing that you're going to notice up front. 50 miles less range, so it's rated at 260 miles with these wheels, the base wheels. Next, you're going to give up some of the speakers. So the sound system in this car is not quite to the level, but it is really good and better than most cars out there, let alone a base model of anything. You don't have 2 amps like in the long range. You don't have the subwoofer. 6 speakers less, so it's like 7 speakers instead of 13. That's the sound system in this compared to the long range all-wheel drive. Next, you're also not going to have this cover over the back of the cargo area. This area back here is set up to be able to be covered with a tray. That's just not in this car. And then the other thing that you'll see that's different on this car, there's no fog lights up here. 0 to 60 is like 6.6 seconds, which is very average for cars on the road, and instead of 4.8 in the long range all-wheel drive, which is actually really quick. But that's it. That's all you're missing. That's it. The biggest thing that you will miss in this car over the long range all-wheel drive is it's rear-wheel drive instead of all-wheel drive and 50 miles of less range. When you're going on road trips, this thing does charge slightly slower at a peak of 170 kilowatt charge rate versus 250 in the long range all-wheel drive. That's it though. $282. Now, if you cannot live without the features of the long range all-wheel drive, I found a similar deal on a long range all-wheel drive that adds all those features. It's still the base configuration, so 5-seat, stealth gray, standard wheels, black interior, and that thing comes out about $45 more a month if you absolutely had to have the long range all-wheel drive. But why would you do that? This is so cheap. Honestly, obviously buying is better than leasing in most cases, but based on how these things have been fluctuating in value so much over the last couple of years, doing a lease is sometimes not such a bad thing when it's new technology. This helps to protect you on the end. You know exactly how much you're going to spend over that period of time, and you're going to walk away from the vehicle. You cannot purchase this car at the end of the lease, which is something that Tesla does. So once that 3 years is up, you hand over the key card and you walk away. And at that time, hopefully a newer, better, more awesome model is available. It's just crazy to me, and the whole reason of putting this video out is because I don't think people realize just how affordable Teslas have become. Tesla, of course, a long time has been super expensive, and the Model 3 came out and that was somewhat affordable, but honestly still pretty high. At $43,990, you're right there in the average new car price to begin with. Then you take the discount and this thing is cheaper than the average new car on the road. By the way, it can drive itself, and that's what's crazy about it. The tech on this car far exceeds almost anything else, certainly as a base model in this price range or even lower. This thing gives you a ton of value for the money, and I want to be clear, I'm not a Tesla investor or a pumper of any kind. I do have, I think, 30 shares of Tesla. I stopped buying a long time ago to make sure I wasn't financially driven by trying to pump the stock or whatever. I own this car. I've had this car since 2020. I had a replacement in 2021 when the 7-seat configuration came out. It's just such a great car, and 1.2 million people apparently agreed last year that it is such a great car. It is still a great car. This car is hard to beat in value. $282 a month, less than $300 a month to lease this thing. I mean, you can literally be working an hourly job, 15 bucks an hour, and be able to afford this car. That's how affordable this thing is, and this is not a base, cheap, run-of-the-mill car that you can think of. This is a lot of car for that money. That is why this thing is such an incredible value. So again, if you're a Cybertruck reservation holder, there's an extra $1,000 out there that you can apply to a new purchase or lease. There was a free color interior or exterior, but that has since ended, expired. That's not available anymore. But you also get 5,000 miles of free supercharging, which is nice. If you use a referral code, you also get 3 months of free full self-driving. Even if you don't use a referral code, you get a month for free officially now, which is nice. It gives you a chance to see what that's all about. But the point is, this is not like unattainable or some weird voodoo math. The only additional thing on here that not everybody will have is the Cybertruck reservation that you may have placed before January of this year for $100. If you don't have that, you won't get that $1,000. Everything else that I've explained to you, everybody, you all get it. And that's what's awesome about this. So make sure use somebody's referral code. It doesn't have to be mine. It can be anybody. If you have a friend, that Tesla person in your group, make sure you get their referral code so that they'll get credit, of course, but you will get credit too. You'll get a year of premium connectivity for free and 3 months of full self-driving for free as well. So make sure that you use a referral code, anybody's. And again, unlike previous years, you don't have to wait for this anymore. This one's sitting right here. There's a handful of them just like this configuration. They probably made more base configurations than any other out there, is my guess, based on what I see. It makes sense. That way, whoever's coming in for the lowest price possible, which is usually the most volume, that is set up this way. So if you're interested, make sure you check out Tesla's website, check out your own local inventory, see what they have, see if they've got something that makes sense for you. And if you're dying for this ultra red, as an example, which is beautiful, you can find these too and see what the discounts are on those. But top discount right now for a base model, Model Y, is about $4,000 to $4,500. So look really hard. If you see one, you better jump on it, because this other one that I saw earlier today, that one was gone before I even got here. So this one is still here and probably gone now since I've started recording. I hope that this was eye-opening to you, because this is just, even to me, and I've been around these cars so long, this is insane how cheap this is. This is just too cheap. I'm just thinking of everybody in my life who needs a car right now. They need to know about this, because this is such a good deal. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Can't wait to catch you on the next one.